Hello and welcome to the Orion Enterprise. I just wanted to post a little quick update on how my league start went for 3.21 here in Path of Exile Crucible League. So before the league start, I released a few videos in a series talking about how to prepare for league start and how to have a really high quality and consistent league start. So I'm going to talk about how I put that into practice for myself, how it all played out on the league start weekend, what I could have improved, what I think I did well, everything like that, and hopefully you guys enjoy. Now, for this league start, I decided to play Explosive Trap Saboteur, and this is the path of building I've been using, generally speaking, as a guide. This is not my live character, but this is posted in my How to Have the Perfect League Start Every League Start video series in a couple of the descriptions, so feel free to check it out if you're interested in this build. But it's Explosive Trap Saboteur. We're planning to fully convert to fire damage and then use Leadership's Price to apply alternate ailments. Now, right now, I do not have Leadership's Price, but that's because it's league start, and I haven't been super lucky on terms of my drops this league so far. So I'm a little bit low on cash, and as a result, I only have my Devouring Diadem. I don't also have Leadership's Price, but that's okay because the build is still totally functional. Without it, it just does a little bit less damage. Now, overall, the build has been very strong. I had my best axe time to date on league start, where I was able to complete them in 5 hours 30 minutes, and that's a very good time for me. I'm pretty happy anywhere between the 6 to 7 hour range. That is kind of my sweet spot typically on league start, but this one managed to push ahead of that, get down to 5:30, and so I was very happy with that. And Explosive Trap was incredible in that regard. I mean, you can just sprint to the boss Assassin's Market and you would just pulverize it in the axe. It was very, very smooth. The only section of leveling that I actually struggled with was Act 1 because of the nerfs to Explosive Trap in 3.21. They changed it so in the early levels you get less explosions, and in Act 1 your starting support gems are really reliant on those explosions because you use Chance to Poison as your first support gem, and when you have one less explosion, that's one less poison chance, and that it actually ends up being a pretty significant reduction in your damage. So I had to, on Merville, for example, just basically kill myself in game repeatedly to reset my mana flask because I just could not deal enough damage to her. But other than that, it was super smooth sailing for leveling. Getting into mapping, again, same thing. I've been running into a bit of a roadblock, I would say, in my late yellow, actually more like early red to late reds. My red maps, I've been struggling a little bit because I didn't have the Devouring Diadem until pretty recently, and so as a result, I didn't have quite enough damage to one-shot most monsters. And then, I am pretty squishy. Like, this gear I'm using is pretty terrible because it is league start, and I've just been pushing really hard to make progression. So not focusing on my gear at all, and as a result, it is pretty sinful other than this Devouring Diadem. And as a result, because I wasn't one-shotting monsters with my main skill Explosive Trap anymore, I was starting to die a lot. So I'm only level 91 right now as a result of dying so much during mapping, but it is what it is. I'm kind of hitting the point now, and I've got Devouring Diadem where I'm stabilizing again, and I think going further, once I get a Leadership's Price as well, and one with some extra max resistances, then that's going to really make me much, much tankier, and as a result, I think XP will be a little more solid. Now, all that to say, I have 2 Void Stones right now. I've completed the Red and Blue Boy respectively. So Searing Exarch and Eater of Worlds, I've completed both of the quest versions of them. I've done a Maven 10-way, and I'm working on stacking up the remaining pieces in terms of witnesses for the various invites. I've attempted one Shaper, but I was getting a little bit greedy and decided to Maven Witness it, and that was a bad idea as well. The Maven Witness just basically healed the boss over and over and over, and while my damage was completely fine for a non-witnessed encounter, it was just healing too much, and basically it was a war of attrition, and eventually it won out. So a little bit disappointed with that. You know, losing a full shaper key at this point in the league is definitely not ideal. But it is what it is. You live and you learn. This is by far the furthest I've pushed an opening weekend in terms of mapping before. I've never gotten Voidstone's opening weekend. It is Monday the 10th after league start. So that is very, very quick by my standards. Like Frostblade's Raider last league with Heat Shiver really struggled against Pinnacle bosses because you don't land the freeze that you need with Heat Shiver to then proc your Trinity and do all your damage. And this league has not been the case. I've just been flying through. I one-shot basically all the bosses I've run into other than that Shaper attempt. So it's been very successful in that regard. And I think it's only going to get better with Leadership's price, and it's only going to get better with time. Now, overall, the build, I would say I've been quite happy with. In terms of Atlas mechanics, I'm taking some Betrayal just because I like the mechanic. I think it's really fun. I've been taking some Essence because it's really strong this league. And then I've been taking the general map completion Synth and Elder Guardian nodes because I want to try and stack some up, because my ultimate goal this league is I want to farm feared invites with this character, because a bunch of research I've read online seems to indicate that the feared invite actually has a quite high chance of dropping a mirror compared to any content in the game, whereas a fairly efficient way to farm for a raw mirror drop. And that sounds like it would be a lot of fun to go for. So this league, I'm going to be farming feared is kind of my money-making plan. As a result, I'm trying to take things that allow me to stack up invites, stack up the maps that I can then witness to do invites. But right now, frankly, this tree is really inefficient. You know, I'm using one of these gateways because I was originally pathing over for Exarch nodes, but I've decided against that. So probably at some point this will get refunded and the tree will be optimized a bit more, connect over here or something. But that's a later problem because I've just been focusing, like I say, on running as many maps as physically possible. In terms of what I would do for next time to improve this character or to have a better league start next time, is there was a big power trough in that red mapping stage, like I mentioned, and I think I should have invested a little bit more money into just rares. Like, for example, I have pretty bad chaos resist even still. So I've had minus 60 for most of my time. I mean, I have a flask that brings me to +5. This is Ziri's Promise, but this is, you know, you can't rely on this permanently. And some of my chaos resist is even coming from my Devouring Diadem. So I was really struggling in that regard before. So would have invested a bit more into my character while going through early mapping next time. The other piece that I don't have solutions for yet, but I think it's worth shouting out, is that I really struggled with map sustain a lot more than I expected leading up to the first two Void Stones. And so next time as a lesson for next league, I'm going to do a bit of research into how the best players are able to sustain maps, because, you know, the tip of the top racers are getting to Searing Exarch, Eater of Worlds in 8 hours from league start. And to do that, I would think, basically have to be progressing maps and sustaining maps at a very good rate, and a rate that, frankly, I'm not doing right now. So still some learning to do there, but there's learning to do at every league. Overall, I had an incredible league start. Every time I do a league start and really have the time to fully play a league start, it reminds me how much I love this game. I mean, I just am like a kid on Christmas morning, completely giddy, you know, stuck in waiting mode all week, ready for the patch to come out so I can get into it. And, I've played a bit. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I hope you had a great league start. I encourage you to leave a comment talking about how your league start went, what you got up to, what mechanics you did, your first impressions of the league mechanic, anything at all. I would love to hear it. If you like this video, leave a like, and have a great evening. Take care.